Good night. Welcome to another edition of Talk to the Town. And tonight we thought we'd bring you something very special. Since yesterday was Remembrance Day, we invited a couple of World War II vets in to just give us a little bit of insight on some of the things that they experienced when they were over there looking after our peace that we so valuable today. And tonight we got Mr. Herb Pike and Mr. Lester Bowers in studio with us. And as you see him on your screen now, Mr. Pike is to the left of your screen and Mr. Bowers to the right of your screen. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now, Mr. Pike, when we get involved during the show, we'll give you a very special little note because he just returned from
France and Belgium.
France and Belgium. He was over to the ceremony which inducted Beaumont Hamel, and he'll tell us a little bit about that in a few minutes. Now, first of all, gentlemen, like I say, welcome to the show. And Mr. Pike, you're quite busy. You were telling me yesterday this time you were in France somewhere, and today you're here.
That's true. Yes. We finished our tour on Monday in Belgium at the funeral sites of the RCAF plane that was shot down over Belgium in 1944. 5 of the bodies were recovered at the time, and they were buried in a proper cemetery. And it was 53 years later, a farmer out in the field picked up a cigarette lighter with a name on it and Canada. Then the work began. They dug up the area and they found the remains of 3 more airmen. And on Monday, the 3 airmen were given a proper military funeral in Belgium.
Now, that must have been quite an experience.
It was quite an experience, it certainly was. And I'd like to say that the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Band was in attendance and they played. Of course, the Minister of Veterans Affairs for all Canada was present too.
Now, when I first introduced you, I said you were World War II vets. Is that the only World War that you were in, or were you in the Korean War too?
No, I was just in the World War II.
What about you, Mr. Bowers?
World War II.
Now, while you were over in the World War II, what countries did you get to visit?
Well, it's hard to say what countries. I was stationed in England, and I was also stationed in West Africa. Now, I was flying Bomber Command from England over enemy territory, naturally. And, of course, when I finished flying with the Bomber Command, I went with Coastal Command, which did the escorts in the Atlantic, doing submarine patrols and what have you ahead of our shipping.
And Mr. Bowers, what about you? What countries did you get to?
To visit?
Yeah.
Well, when you speak about visiting, I visited several countries, but such as the British Isles, and I spent a lot of time in Scotland, and I spent a good bit of time I spent some time on Gibraltar.
Speak up. Speak up.
Also, I spent about a year and a half or more in Italy, and I guess that's about it. I was short time in North Africa.
Now, what regiments did you fellows serve with? Same regiment, or was it different ones?
I was with the 166th Newfoundland Regiment, but before that I was with the 180 British Field Regiment. I was there for quite a while with the 180 British Field Regiment, and there were no Newfoundlanders in that except myself. I was the only Newfoundlander there, and I was with them for a year and a half. And after that I got a transfer to our own regiment, the 166th Regiment. And I served in Italy for a year and a half until the end of the war.
Now, Mr. Pike, what regiments did you get to serve with?
Yes, I was with the Royal Air Force, flying with the Royal Air Force. I flew out of England for a year, 15 months, with the Bomber Command. And then, of course, I still flew with the Royal Air Force, doing Coastal Command from West Africa.
Now, you say you flew with the Royal Air Force. Were you a pilot, or
I was a flyer, yes.
You were a flotter. Is that what they were called? They
Oh,
were-
yeah, drivers.
So, Mr. Bowers, what did you? What was your position there? You were just.
What did I do?
Yeah. What did you? Were you?
Well, after I finished training in England, I got a transfer to the 180 British Field Regiment that was in England, and I was truck driving with those people until I went overseas. We went overseas. I went overseas with that regiment from England, to North Africa.
Right.
And when I got transferred to Newfoundland, 166 Newfoundland Regiment, I went on the guns. I was a gunner there for quite a while, but then after that I got transferred to truck driving, and I drove truck all over the Italy for quite a long time until the end of the war. On ammunition, that was mostly the thing I done.
Now, I know we hear a lot of stories about how young people were when they were first joined up with the Navy and the Army and the Air Force during these wars. How old were you fellas, or I should say, how young were you fellas when you joined up at the?
I was somewhere, I would have been 19 in October as I joined in August, 1942.
So you were actually 18 when you joined.
Yeah, 18 years.
That was quite a young age to leave and go to war, wasn't it,
I was
Mister?
young, but even though there was people a lot younger than that, I had a brother, John, got in when he was 17, but he was just managed to stay there. They never kicked him out. But Cyril Pilley over there, again, from Rattling Brook, he was barely 17, I think, when he got there, when he got into it. And he finally, he hung on there for a while. But we had fellows with us from the Port Peninsula. They was young, 17 and between 17 and 18, and they served 2 years overseas with me before they got caught up on and sent back home.
Now, Mr. Pike, were you somewhere around that age too?
Yes, I joined the Royal Air Force on my 17th birthday. And that was in June. You want to find my age out now?
No.
Yes, on my 17th birthday, 1941. So I joined up in June and was called up in September. And I left Newfoundland and went to mainland Canada and trained under the British Empire Training Scheme. We were, of course, England's oldest colony at the time, and we went to Canada for our training. So I was 17, yes.
Now, you say you went to Canada. I guess at that time Newfoundland was not part of Canada, so that's why you say that, right?
That's right, because we were England's oldest colony at the time. This was before Confederation. But like I said, I did my training in Canada, went down to Nassau, Bahamas, to an OTU, that's an operational training unit, picked up a crew and went across to England. And that's why I started flying bombers from England over the enemy territory.
Now, when you left the Air Force to take up just a regular life in the pedestrian area, what did you do for a living after you left the?
When I was discharged in 1946, I returned home July 27th, 1946. I went back to Buckins and worked in the assay office. In other words, I was a chemist by trade. So what we did was to analyze the ores, and from then they could find out the value of it and figure out the cost. So actually I'm a chemist, or an assayer.
Yeah.
Probably better known as an assayer.
Now, Mr. Bowers, what did you take up as an occupation when you left the Air Force?
Well, I got out of the forces.
Yeah.
The second winter after I come out of the forces, I went into the lumber woods, and I spent quite a time at that. And the later years, when I was in the labor force, I was on construction work. Jack of all trades, I think.
Now, you guys do a fair amount of going to different places like schools and legions and stuff like that to tell your story. How do you feel about all this travel and explaining, telling your story? Do you enjoy this type of thing?
Yes, we enjoy doing. We certainly do. Although we don't like to talk about some of our experiences, but I think nowadays that the younger generation is becoming aware of what happened years ago. I mean, wars. I mean, they're a terrible thing. And this last few years, we do go to the schools and we speak to them about it. And like just this past Sunday or Tuesday, at our memorial service, we had 400 or 500 people present. And in the past, there was probably 200 or 300 at the most. So I think it has some effects on what we have been doing.
So that was quite a jump in the number of people attending.
Yes, a big jump indeed.
Now,
yes.
You're talking about this service. This was a service held in Springdale on Tuesday.
Springdale Tuesday. Yes.
Right. Now, lately, Beaumont Hamel was recently designated as a Canadian National Historic Site. Now, Mr. Pike, you got a special favorite story to tell us about that, but how does that make you feel that this site was designated?
Oh, that made me very proud indeed. And to know it was the first national historic site outside of Newfoundland, outside of Canada. Yes, I was there for the dedication service, Minister of Veteran Affairs and the Heritage Minister, Sheila Copps. And of course, everybody, I might tell you at the time, there wasn't a dry eye there, especially at the service itself, for the laying of the wreath at Beaumont Hamel. I don't know if you would like to, could I just speak a few minutes
yes, sir.
On Beaumont Hamel, you know. People, you see a lot of pictures of Beaumont Hamel, and it's hard to visualize what the memorial or the monument really is. Well, very briefly, the memorial itself, at the present moment, is considered as the most beautiful and natural memorial in the world. It's about 40 feet high and about 30 feet wide. And there's a spiral walkway going around to the top where this beautiful caribou is on the top. Now, around the walkway itself is all Newfoundland shrubs brought over from Newfoundland. The big rock on the top where the caribou is mounted is from Newfoundland. In the background are all Newfoundland trees, the birch, the aspen, the spruce, the juniper, and the fir. And right now they're probably about 45 or 50 feet high. The memorial itself is erected on the edge of one of the trenches, St. John's Line. At the base of the memorial, there's a brass plaque, probably about 10 by 6, with all the names of those that lost their lives are all inscribed on it. So this is where, of course, the services were held. And of course, at the bottom of the memorial, there's 2 or 3 little steps there for the laying of the wreath. It is beautiful because Beaumont Hamel, the battlefield itself was never touched. And of course, when they fought back there in 1917, 18, and so on, it was pure mud and slime. Today, it is beautifully green. The trenches are there, the foxholes are there, all the craters are there, a lot of artifacts in some of the holes, like old rusted rifles, helmets, and what have you. And of course, the ground is so rough and rugged, it's impossible to keep it mowed with a lawnmower. And what they do, they have mobile fences, and they put them in the ground and bring in the sheep. And the sheep, they do a beautiful job on it. And of course, there's about 40 acres of land at Beaumont Hamel. And of course, right now, it's part of Canada.
Well, that sounds like a very interesting story. Now, that must have been quite an experience to take in part. You had to be picked to go over there, or did you apply for that position to go over there?
No, all the Legions of Newfoundland were asked to submit names from the various branches of the services.
Right.
Of course, my name went in for the Air Force, and luckily I was chosen to represent Newfoundland. And I might say it was a great honor indeed.
Now, Mr. Bowers, this Beaumont Hamel being designated as a Canadian National Historic Site, how does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel very proud of my countrymen, and I'm certainly proud of Comrade Pike after making 2 trips down there. And I don't begrudge him that one bit, because I had a chance to put my hat in the ring, but I didn't do it, so I put my name in the hat, and I didn't do that. So it makes me very proud to have somebody from our branch, more especially, to represent us in the Beaumont Hamel this year.
Now, we wear poppies on Remembrance Day every year, or most people start wearing them a little bit before. For anybody who is not really aware of the significance of the poppy, can you, Mr. Pike or Mr. Bowers, one of you, tell us a little bit about the significance of the poppy and what it means?
I guess the poppy itself all started before as far as I know, in Flanders Field. It is a symbol of remembrance, and there is quite a number of dollars raised throughout the poppy campaign every year. And I know one branch in Newfoundland now on Highland raised $13,000 to Cornerbrook, because I happened to attend a service there last weekend. $13,000 they picked up. Well, this money is all spent for veterans and veterans' children. It's not supposed to be spent at any other thing, you know, only just for veterans and veterans' families and children. And for that reason, it's a good thing, of course. But like I said, it's mostly for remembrance, I guess. Remember our war veterans and died and fought, whatever.
Now, Mr. Pike, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Les has covered it very well. It is, like you say, a symbol of remembrance. And I think that nowadays that the children, the school children especially, are asking for poppies, more so now than ever before. So I think they begin to realize the importance of the poppies.
Now, Mr. Pike and Mr. Bowers, I see when you walked in the studio here tonight, I was really admiring the medals that you have on your breast plates there on your coat. I wonder if we could take one at a time, and maybe we'll start with Mr. Bowers over there, and maybe he can tell us a little bit about each medal he's got on his lapel jacket there.
Okay. This one here is the King George's medal, King George VI's medal, this one. This one here is the Newfoundland Volunteer Service medal. You get it for volunteer
Right.
from Newfoundland. This one here is Defense of Britain. You have to be in, like, you know, take part in
3 years.
Defense of Britain. This one here is the Italian Campaigns medal. I spent a year and a half in Italy, up in the mountains, wild, you know. You had to spend at least, I believe it was 28 days or something like that to get this one. But I spent a year and a half there. So this one here is this one is the 1939-45 star. This one is the 1939-45 star. You know. And this one up here is a 50th anniversary medal that they gave us at the 50th anniversary. They give us that one. Marked on this one, lest we forget or whatever.
Now, that looks to be pretty impressive. These are stuff that you got because you served in the war, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier before we get to Mr. Pike that we see a lot of these things being wore around today. You can go into the stores and buy them. You were mentioning you've seen some earlier, and
I didn't see them, but I attended the Legion meeting at Cornerbrook last Sunday, and this is one of the things that came up, you know, that veterans, not veterans, but the man on the street going over to Ontario, going over to Nova Scotia or whatever. I don't know if you can buy them in Newfoundland or not, but you can buy them anyway, and fellas run over there and bought them back, you know, and wearing them, and he thinks it's okay. And I don't know how you stop that thing from happening, because if you go in a store, you can buy whatever's on the shelf. Well, you know, that's your choice.
But to me, this stuff should be worn with dignity and respect.
But it's a big fine if you're caught and found out for wearing them, you know.
Now, Mr. Pike, you have a few more strapped on your jacket. Must be some different ones. Can you tell us a little bit about these?
Yes, most of mine are similar to Les's, only this one here. This one here is what they call the Atlantic Star. It's because I served with the Coastal Command over the Atlantic and so on. Across the top of this one, there's a bar which says Air Crew Europe, which means that I flew over Europe, or I was flying over Europe. You can only get the one star, or you can use 2 stars. You cannot wear 3 stars. So what they do, they give you 2 stars plus clasps to go to the different medals. So mine are similar to Les's, only this is the Atlantic Star with the clasp of Bomber Command. These here, of course, are Legion pins. This one here I'm very proud of. This one here is the 50th anniversary, or in other words, I've been a member of the Royal Canadian Legion for 50 years. And of course, recently I've become a life member.
Yeah.
Which I'm very, very thankful for.
Now, can you tell us, you were talking about when you come in the studio earlier tonight, you were telling me the story about the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, and you said a little story about the, what was it, the man that gave you the title?
Oh, yes. During of course, World War One, the Newfoundlanders, especially, they were Newfoundland Regiment at the time, and they were such good fighters, fearful fighters, and things like that. In 1918, King George V added the name Royalty, or Royal, to the regiment, and since then on, it's become the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, honoured to them by King George V.
Now, my questions that I've put together have come pretty close to an end. So what I'm going to do now is give each one of you a little bit of time if you'd like to say something special to the public out there about the war vets, or you'd like to tell the people a little bit of your personal idea of what they should be looking for in a war vet, or what reason why we should respect them. Take it if you want a couple minutes, or if you don't want to do it, it's up to yourself before we finish up tonight.
Well, personally speaking, I think most of the war vets, they do have dignity, I must say that. Recently, I said, coming back now from France and Belgium, I met a lot of veterans from all across Canada, and every one of them were devoted Legion members, and we got together in the evenings, talked about different things, and right across Canada, we're all one big family, like it's never been known before. And of course now we're all Canadians, and this of course we're all very proud of.
Now, Mr. Pike, you were saying when you come in there that you were picked. This is your second trip that you went over?
Yes, my second trip. Yes, indeed. Back in, pardon me, in 1991, the pilgrimage to France. That was in July, 1st of July. They wanted a representative from the Royal Air Force, and of course my name was submitted from the Canadian Legion Branch 40 in Springdale, and of course I was picked out of the hat, and I must say I was very, very happy about it. And of course, again this year it's unbelievable that you could get chosen twice to represent our country, which I was very happy and proud of.
Now, I was talking to you as we were getting ready to go on air, and we were saying that a lot of the war vets are passing on, and we're not getting much of the history. Do you think that probably small local community channels or somebody should get together and get as much of this history put on videotape that we can have it for future?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. And I think it's a great thing that you're doing. Of course, without this, things will be forgotten. But now that you do have it a tape, it'll be on the air forever and ever. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thanks, Mr. Bowers and Mr. Pike. Now, we were supposed to have Huey Earl come in tonight, but Mr. Earl is sick. And Mr. Pike, like I said, just got back from over in France and that area over there. So he really got put into the position tonight to come and show up here and do this show for us. And I really thank him at the bottom of our heart to do that, to come over here. I know he was telling me he went to bed last night around 9, and he never woke up till after 9 this morning, so I'd say he was pretty tired. And I'd like to say thanks again to the gentleman, and you can pass on our thanks to Mr. Earl for making the effort to come over, and we know he was sick. So we'd like to say that anytime you want to do this, you want to get anything out, you want to do anything that would benefit the war vets, give us a call. We'll do our best to give you the opportunity to put it in a tape form or out over live air like this.
Well, thank you very much, and I must say that it was a pleasure for us to be here this evening, and I'd like to thank you very, very much. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks again.
And I'd like to thank you too, sir, for having us here. Certainly enjoyed it, being here.
Thanks now, gentlemen, and we're going to take a couple of minute break now, and if you saw the credits run up in the first of the show, we're going to come back on with Don Snow, and Don is the tourism coordinator for the area called Green Bay, and we're going to get a little bit of insight on what Don has been doing over the past few months. Tune in a few minutes, we'll have Don.